Hi everyone, this is Ira Dubey in the middle of the lockdown, very late at night, but I'm really excited because I got a chance to chat with someone special today. So catch me on an interview with him on What's Up with Vasant.
If looks could kill and intelligence slay, then our next guest, the lovely, charming, and pleasantly mysterious Ira Dubey, would be guilty as charged. Welcome to What's Up with Vasant. We have a very special guest on the show, Miss Ira Dubey herself. How are you doing, Ira?
I'm doing great. Too many compliments, yeah. I don't know how to deal with that.
So, film actress, thespian, poet. What else is Ira Dubey?
I'm I can sing if that's what you're asking. All my hidden talents and secrets. So yeah, at the moment, Ira is just cooking and cleaning and sort of really taking care of herself.
So, what do you do for fun outside of cooking and cleaning? What else? And you said the keyboard that you're learning. What else do you do?
I love films. I love watching movies. I love watching. I mean, I'm a complete movie buff. So yeah. So in all this free time, funnily enough, I have been reading a lot and I've been cooking a lot for fun. And I think both those things have been very fun for me because it's been a long time since I did them. And I've discovered I'm like a halfway decent cook. So
as far as books are concerned, I'm always curious to know what an actor is reading, because I feel that while books are fun to read, they're entertaining, do you also try to bring influences of the books you read into your craft?
Funnily enough, now that you ask the question, I think reading, there's two parts to it. One is nonfiction, and as you grow older, especially with me personally, I felt that as I got out of my 20s, somehow I started reading and turning to a lot of nonfiction. And I know that this trend is very popular in the world. So that's the beauty of reading nonfiction, which is connected to your craft. So it could be biographies, it could be, of great actors, it could be their memoirs, it could be directors' memoirs, directors' masterclasses. Masterclasses are also so popular nowadays. Right. So to answer your question, yes, I think reading is wonderful. But I have been reading a lot of fiction. I've been reading books that I didn't have a chance to read. Like somewhere along the way, I missed out on, authors like Jhumpa Lahiri, and Amitabh Ghosh, Rohinton Mistry, a lot of Indian authors who I missed along the way, Arundhati Roy. So I somehow have been devouring their literature. I've also been reading a lot of African literature, funnily enough, and I've gone back to Milan Kundera, who I absolutely adore. So there was a beautiful book that I was reading, which was recommended to me by a couple of friends, which was Letters to a Young Artist. Letters to a Young Poet or Artist, I don't even know what the fuck it's called. Okay, I'm not going to mention the name of the book.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there was a beautiful book that I was reading recently, and it's by a poet, and it's two poets, actually, young poets, young artists. And it talks about the beauty and sort of the inspiration in solitude. Okay. And it came at a very timely moment for me because I was in the lockdown, and I read this book during the lockdown, and it talked about embracing solitude, and embracing not being fearful of it. Loneliness is associated with fear, but solitude can be associated with a great amount of creativity. And I think books give you that. Reading gives you that. It gives you that space to really go within and use your imagination and be transported somewhere else altogether. And that can really fuel writing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one good thing that's come out of the reading that I've been doing. Yeah.
Okay. So, we're going to jump to the time that you were in Yale University, right?
Yes, I was.
You learned a bunch of different acting styles there, or schools of acting, as they call them. How are they different from each other?
Very nice question. So I did my undergrad there, and I majored in theatre studies. So I didn't go to the Yale School of Drama. A lot of people have that misconception that I went to the Yale School of Drama, where Jodie Foster went and where Claire Danes went, and I think maybe Meryl Streep also was there for a while. Basically, in Yale, they teach us the foundation of acting, the foundations of, there was basically the method. There was Stanislavski, who was a Russian guy. And there was then various sort of aberrations and various sort of, amalgamations of that very fundamental acting theory, which is known as the method. But it sort of branched off in many different directions in America with Strasberg, with Stella Adler, with many different people and took on many different forms over the years. Some people are still very classical and very sort of adhere very strongly to the method, but it has evolved over time. Then there was Meisner, there was Michael Chekhov. There were all these different wonderful sort of theorists and acting teachers who had different takes on how to use your tools as an actor. So whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally, whether it's psychologically, how do you tap into those tools? You know, what is the work that you do for yourself with voice, with your body, with your emotional life, you know, with your imagination? How do you tap into all those different aspects? And everyone had a different take on it. How do you do it? You see, that's basically what the differences were. So it was a treat. It was a joy. It was a pleasure. I mean, I was having the time of my life, man. I think I'll always remember my time at Yale with a lot of fondness because of the theater that I did there. Personally, I dropped out after 3 years. Personally, it was not a great time for me at all. I was very young. I was very far away from home. And New Haven, Connecticut, New England, I couldn't hack it, man. I didn't like it. Now in retrospect, I wish that I had been on the West Coast or, you know, I'm a big city girl, or in New York, you know. So I wasn't a big fan. I was a big fan of the institution, the college, but I wasn't a big fan of, you know, where it was. And personally, it wasn't the best time. But the theater part of it and the education part of it, the education was something else.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So now you then moved to Bombay, right? And then what happened first? Was it theater or was it movies?
So I moved back to Bombay and I decided I'm going to start working with my mom to begin with in her company. And I actually took up a job as a marketing and PR executive in a brand marketing company. Okay. And that was my first and last 9-to-5 experience. You know, honestly, hats off to people who can do it. Really, I mean, it's a different kind of mindset and it's a different kind of personality, I think, that can sort of work that kind of lifestyle. But when you've grown up around creative people and you've grown up with a very vibrant creativity, you know, which fires you, it's very difficult to conform to that. And I realized that it was really funny because it was a wonderful company. It was a brand marketing company called the Murjanis, and they had brought all these cool brands to India for the first time ever, like Gucci and Ferragamo and Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger and all these cool brands that had been brought in by this company, you know. But it was fashion, you know, it was fashion related, and it was a big company. I was so excited. I was 20, 21, and I remember working with them for about. It was just about 10 months, Vasant. I just almost finishing my first year. And I was due like 40 days of paid leave. Okay. And I got this offer to do this film. And so he asked me if I'd like to do the film. And I remember going to my MD of the company. And I remember walking into his office and sitting down, and I was like, you know, and till that point of time, he had been very, very supportive of, you know, all our passions and all our hobbies and, you know, like theater, and his family had come and seen some of my plays, I think, and this and that. And I sat down, I'll never forget this. And I sat down and I was like, you know, so I've got this great opportunity and this and that and something. He was totally silent the whole time, and I was blabbering away like an idiot. And I was like, you know, basically I need like 35 days off. So he just looked at me and I was like, you know, sir, I mean, I have paid leave due, you know, I mean, I have it due anyway, like 40 days or something like that. And he just looked at me and he just very nicely, very politely, very respectfully, he said, you know, it's not an option, and it's going to be the job or the film. So I was like, okay, it's the film, and the rest is history.
It is something to think about. So tell me something. In theater, have there been times where you've forgotten your lines, or are in a situation where your co-star or your co-actors have forgotten their lines, and now you guys need to do something with it? How do you deal with that situation? How often does that happen?
I think that theater is such a delightful medium where if you have a comfort level with an actor, with a co-actor, and if you have a rapport with them, and if you're both really in it, there's always the opportunity to improvise without straying very far away from what actually the story is, and make it work, and the audience will never know.
Makes
So that's happened many times, but unfortunately that cannot happen in every play. So if you're doing a classic play, like if you're doing Chekhov, or if you're doing Tennessee Williams, or if you're doing Pinter, or if you're doing these wonderful playwrights who write so brilliantly, you can't afford to muck around too much with what they've written, right? So you can't just start making up your own lines. So in the in the improvisational space, it's never a problem, because even if you blank, and even if you just get stuck somewhere, or you lose focus for a second, you can pick up. You can just make up something and you can carry on, and you can trust your actors. Trust is so much a part of acting.
Sure.
You just have to literally, there's an exercise we do which is all about literally physically collapsing and falling down backwards into the arms of your fellow actors. And it's you close your eyes, they spin you around, there are many variations on it, and you just have to let go. So I think trusting and letting go is part of performance, and it's part of a team. And it's part of an ensemble. So when you're working with an ensemble, it's easy to do that. But yes, I mean, when you're doing classical work, or when you're doing a play that is a very intense play, or has a very intense theme, and it's very emotional, or it's very charged, or it's a period piece, or it's very dark or something, you can't really, if you get stuck, there are always ways to get out of it. You could scream, you could start crying, you could just you could have a very pregnant pause.
I think crying would come very naturally at that time.
I think, and you could just hold a very pregnant pause, make them wait for it, what I mean? And another thing a lot of people ask me is, how do you remember all your lines? How do you remember so many lines? And crazy. We used to mug, we're all Indians. We all know how to mug. Muggoos we were in school and college. Not college, but school. And of course, I mean, learning lines it's with practice. It's just a question of, muscle memory after a while, you get used to it. But I think that if somebody blanks, or if somebody very often what happens is you skip. Suddenly you skipped a whole page. You just gone somewhere else. So you have to just be very alert and quick on the uptake on stage, particularly on stage. In cinema it's very different, because you have the chance to cut. On stage it's such a live medium, where you have to really think on your feet all the time, and you have to be very focused, and you have to be very there, very in the moment. Which is why I always say, for an actor, it's a delight, it's a dream, because it's really more an actor's medium.
All right, so now moving on to movies, right?
Yes.
What has been your most interesting role of all the movies you've done so far?
Hey, I would have to say a film that I did recently, which I think nobody has seen, and I hope to God that people will see, because now we have so many digital platforms. It's a film called Shehjar. I play this Muslim woman in it, and I'm in a burqa in it, and I have no makeup in it. And of course, for an actor, we always feel like those are really big things. And they are very, very, there's a truth and there's a rawness to those characters if you play them like that. But more than that, I think it was really interesting, because she was supposed to be a mother of two grown-up boys, and but as it turns out, there was much more to her, and she's not only is she not a mother, but she's something else altogether, and it has a lot of political overtones, the film.
Got it.
So it's a very interesting part, and it's a very interesting film. So I think that was one part that I really enjoyed sinking my teeth into.
Right. And how do you go about, like, your preparation in theatre would be different, I would imagine, than what it is in films, right? So how do you prepare?
The thing is that I think your tools as an actor are the same.
Okay.
You use the same tools, but you use them in different ways. And you will realize that on cinema, less is really more. You just have to be.
Because
it's
it
kind
does
of
seem
tricky,
Yeah.
It's kind of tricky. And it's kind of tricky when you come from theatre to go into film.
Yeah.
Because your tendency is to do lots. Like right now, I'm using my hand a lot. And if I had to do that in a scene on film, it would look really distracting, Yeah. So you have to learn how to rein it back. You have to learn how to have a lot of control, over your technique, your skill, and keep it really real, basically.
You've acted in Dear Zindagi. You've acted in a movie like Aisha, which is more glossy, if I may, more aesthetic and more cosmetic.
Yeah.
So coming from a background which is more rooted into the soul of the character or into the earthiness of the character, and then now playing someone who's most not necessarily superficial, but to some extent cosmetically.
I think you have to embrace and let go, and you have to give in and surrender to the vision and the style of that particular project. You see, as an actor,
Right.
that's another very important thing that you need to be able to do. In films like Aisha, films like Dear Zindagi, they have a lot of soul as well. You know,
Sure.
that's what's really important. At the end of the day, people are going to remember the soul of the film. I
Fair
try
enough.
to play them as real, you know, make them as living, breathing, and tangible as possible. You know, let's not make them plastic characters, you know, cardboard characters.
Mhm.
And that's a thing that we struggle with. I think that, you know, writing, for me personally, I feel writing has come a long way in India. It was always my sort of pet peeve, or my sort of like, you know, my you know, bone to pick with our industry was that we're a lazy bunch. We tend to copy, we tend to rehash things, we tend to sort of, you know, just, you know, we're lazy. We're a complacent bunch. And in the last 10 years, there has been a seismic shift in the way that we approach even writing and filmmaking overall. Technically, we've always been great. I think cinematically, we've always had a very strong sort of hold on cinema, because we are such a big industry. You know, and we're so old as an industry. You know, so I think in those senses we're fine. But writing was always an area where I felt there was a big lacuna. You know, and I think that has really started changing now. Because instead of those plastic, one-dimensional cardboard characters, that kind of glossy, superficial sort of a writing, or kind of aping the West constantly and rehashing things from the West constantly, you know, that has really started changing. I think there's a language in our cinema, in our industry, that is evolving, which is now feeling more rooted and feeling more real.
From that subject to something that's also quite interesting to me, is artistic expression. Do you feel that it is an actor or an artist's or filmmaker's social or moral responsibility to justify the art that they're associated with?
Okay, so I haven't seen the film, so I won't comment on that particular film.
Sure.
But I do very strongly believe that it is a filmmaker's responsibility to stay true to the story that he's trying to tell, while upholding this ideal that art is. See, we live in a democracy. Tomorrow, if I was making films in China, or if I was making films in North Korea or Iran, or wherever I was making films, different rules and different norms would apply. We live in a democracy, but we cannot exploit that, right? We cannot exploit that freedom of speech and thought and action, even in art. I feel that, yes, 110%, a filmmaker must take responsibility for reflecting society the way that he would want it to be.
Right.
You see, you are also, don't forget that when your art is inspirational, art is educational, art is enlightening, art is not just entertainment.
Sure.
Right? It's a multitude of things. So if we want art to be illuminating, if we want art to really lift us up and sort of open our eyes to something, or move us, or touch us, or inspire us, or, you know, do that, then how can you propagate something that is sort of detrimental to that? What I'm trying to say is that if a man makes a film about a man who's a douchebag, or a man makes a film about a man who's a sexist man, there has to be a reason for it. If he's doing it just for the sake of doing it, or to make a statement, or to, you know, try and, you know, make a point about something, it's hollow. It's hollow. It's a vacuous thing to do, right? But if there is some reason behind it, I feel there is a truth of that. You can make a lot of offensive films, you can make a lot of offensive, you know, content. It doesn't bother me. You can make a lot of offensive films or content or whatever you want to do. I think that one thing that we had a field day with when this web series space really started taking off was that we became overexcited about showing violence and nudity and sex and, you know, cussing and this and that, because we never had the chance to do it before, and that's fine. But the idea is to do it when it's necessary. Don't overdo it. Don't make a statement just for the sake of making a statement. You know, what is your reasoning behind it? You give me a really solid foundation of why you need to say what you need to say, and it's really doing something. It's creating an impact. It's transforming something. It has a really strong message behind it. I don't care how offensive it is. But what is the message? If you're doing it just for the sake of doing it, you know, or just to inflame some sensibilities, or to sort of create a stir and for titillation, or for whatever the hell the reason is, then it doesn't fly. Of course, it doesn't fly.
Okay, what are your top 3 favorite movies? I know these are hard to say because you're someone who must have seen a bunch, but in Hindi movies, what are your top 3 movies of all time?
Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. I'm going to just say Rafu Chakkar because I'm just thinking of Rishi Kapoor a lot right now.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I would say maybe Omkara.
Nice. Okay.
They're the three that came to my mind right now.
Gotcha. Your top 3 favorite actors in showbiz as of today?
Okay, so Nawazuddin Siddiqui. My heart wants to say Irfan Khan, though he's no more, but I have to say that he was amongst our finest.
Yep.
Ranbir Kapoor.
Right. And your favorite actresses? Top 3?
I would say from the newer lot, I think it's confusing, man.
Can I say it for you?
No.
Can I say Ira Dubey, please?
Let me think of who I like. You can add it to the 3, but let me think of actually who I like. Yeah. But okay. I don't know if I should say that. So let me say, okay, so I'll just say, I'm going to give the answer again, okay? So Alia Bhatt, definitely one of the finest and very spontaneous actress. Anushka Sharma, I really like. Kangana Ranaut, I really like. And from the newer lot, I think Sara Ali Khan has something really special.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Kiara Advani also.
Slightly controversial, but who do you think is the most overrated actor or actress in the industry today?
I don't even know how to answer this question.
Okay, we'll pass. Pass. That's not my zone either. Okay.
Yeah.
Most underrated.
Your zone is very different.
Okay. Most underrated actor as per you in the industry, and most underrated actress as well.
Okay.
TikTok.
Oh fuck, man.
Yeah.
I like that guy very much from, I don't know now his name. He was brilliant in this film Gully Boy. You know the guy who had
Vijay Varma. Was it Vijay Varma or Siddhant Chaudhary? Yeah.
Brilliant
Vijay
Varma.
Yeah, I think
so I would say Vijay Varma. Yeah, underrated actor. And actress, I would say, I don't really watch them much.
Would you call yourself underrated, if I may?
Yeah.
So there you go.
So the most underrated actress is definitely Ira.
I would second that. Okay, favorite holiday destination and why?
I love New York, and I'm a sucker for anything in Italy. But I'm basically at heart, I'm a beach girl. So I got to go to the Maldives for the first time last year, and oh my God, I would go back there in a heartbeat.
Okay. Cool.
In a heartbeat.
Favorite dish across all cuisines ever?
Khao.
What's that? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Like
what cuisine?
Oh my God, Vasant. It's a Burmese curry.
Okay.
You can have it with vegetables. It's with noodles. It's like curry and noodles, and you put a lot of condiments on top. It's delicious. And I grew up like eating that, and I was always asking for it. Whenever there was a special occasion, I was like, I want khao, and my mom had a very amazing recipe for it, which I'm actually trying to learn and trying to make her remember.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful dish. It's a Burmese curry with noodles, and you can have it with non-veg, chicken, or whatever you like.
Okay. And without knowing the extent of your culinary prowess, outside of bread and butter and Maggi noodles, what is the one dish that you're confident of cooking?
Spaghetti aglio olio.
Okay.
And how do you make it? Eggs.
Very quickly, how do you make it?
Spaghetti aglio olio. Okay, so you just dump a ton of garlic in cold olive oil. Okay, I've actually put the recipe up on Instagram. But anyway, so you ton of garlic in cold olive oil. You boil your pasta, your spaghetti. Like for 10 to 12 minutes. The way to check if your spaghetti is done, and it needs to be al dente. It needs to be like really, like sort of, it can be soft and putchy. It has to be really
just
karak.
Slightly crunchy, maybe.
Yeah, it has to be crunchy. So you pull out a strand and you throw it on the wall. This is a trick that a chef taught me. I swear to God it.
Okay.
I swear to God it works. Okay, and if it sticks on the wall, then you know it's done.
Okay.
So you boil your pasta, you got your garlic in cold olive oil, and then you saute your garlic, okay? You saute your garlic just for a couple of minutes. Don't brown it, don't burn it. Add lots of red chili.
Okay.
Add lots of fresh basil. Dump your pasta in there and just toss it. And then if you're lucky enough in this lockdown to get some fresh parmesan, then grate some fresh parmesan on top, and you're done.
Sounds yum. Sounds delicious.
It is yum.
Okay.
Vasant, if you were not in Canada, I'd make it for you.
I would love that. Okay. Any funny fan moments from the times you've been on the set or otherwise in and around?
A lot of people have sent me some really cracked messages on social media, like really funny ones. Someone just yesterday during my live chat with my mother made a comment. It was like, I'm a really big fan of yours and da-da-da. But I think you're really gorgeous and you're really beautiful and this and that. And I think you should get your upper lip done. So I was like, there have been some weird, creepy stalker guys and, all that, which is the normal stuff. But I think I'm a very feisty chick and I know how to deal with them. So I block. Like my favorite thing on Instagram is to block.
Any interesting projects you have in the pipeline that you'd like to talk about?
Going through a bit of a transition, Vasant, and at the moment, everything is up in the air.
So we're going to wrap this up. Before we do you have any special message to give out to your loved ones, your fans?
I think that a lot of people have spoken about the uncertainty and the anxiety and the surreal nature of what is going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
I do believe that it's the first time in all our lifetimes, and I can say this for everybody, even including my 91-year-old grandmother who's still alive, that we've seen something like this since the Spanish flu. Probably, nothing like this has happened.
Yeah.
We don't know the extent of where this is going to take us. Yes, there is some uncertainty involved, and that's because there's something so tiny that we can't comprehend, that we don't have an answer to. I think human beings always want a solution for everything in life, and to be put in a place where we don't have a solution and we are sort of restricted is very difficult for us. So I think that instead of looking at the dark side of it and looking at the fear psychosis of it and looking at the uncertainty that accompanies it, let us ride this wave. It's just a wave. It'll pass. Thank you, and thank you. Finally, thank you to people who help us, to people who keep us going, to the cops, the armed forces, the doctors, the watchmen, the banyas, every single person out there, the health and sanitation people, everyone who has to work right now at this time, who has to be away from their own loved ones and their own families to protect us. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I would like to say the same, and I'd also like to say thank you as well, Ira, for giving me so much time on such short notice without knowing me or my origins.
It's been real, man.
It has been cool. And you are an ocean of talent, and I really wish you the very best for all your endeavors to come. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Okay, can I take these off now, please?
Yeah, absolutely.